Do you know that the Ethiopian civilization predates Rome by over 4,700 years? Yet people go to Rome, which is known as a pagan place, for the answers about Christ and Christmas. Therefore, the world has two Christmases, one on December 25th, which is just a continuation of ancient Egypt and their worship of the sun, and the real Christmas in Ethiopia on January 7th, also known as Tasis 29. So let's read what the Most High has to say. We in Ethiopia have one of the oldest versions of the Bible, but however old the version may be, in whatever language it may be written, the word remains the same, remains one and the same. It transcends all boundaries of empires and all conceptions of race. It is eternal. Haile Selassie I, the Most High. So let's watch. So Ethiopia itself is way older than Rome. Seeing Rome was started in 753 BC, which is 2,778 years ago, while the Ethiopia started 5493 BC, around that time. Hence, 5,500 years of BCE, plus the 2017 years equals 7,517 years. Yet people are going to Rome to ask them about Christ, which makes no sense. So let's watch Rome.
First recorded celebration of Christmas on December 25th occurred in 336 AD during the reign of Emperor Constantine. This date appears in a Roman calendar known as the Chronography of 354.
Get it? Rome was a pagan place, and their first Christmas was in the 300s. In other words, they did not invent Christianity.
Which lists December 25th as the day marking the birth of Jesus Christ, Natus Christus, in Bethlehem, Judea. December 25th was chosen to align with existing Roman traditions, particularly Dies Natalis Solis Invicti, the birthday of the unconquered sun. This festival celebrated the winter solstice and the return of longer days, symbolizing light triumphing over darkness. For early Christians, this connection carried symbolic weight, as Christ was seen as the light of the world.
That goes back to ancient Egypt, because just remember, Rome is just a continuation of ancient Egypt. So they both worship December 25th. So as you can clearly see, Rome added it and created their Christmas on December 25th just to worship the sun. Because we all know that Jesus was born in the late spring. Therefore, he wasn't born in the winter. But the real Christ was born in the winter on Ethiopian Christmas. Not this made up Christmas for December 25th.
While the exact date of Christ's birth remains unknown, the adoption of December 25th by 336 AD reflects the growing integration.
We know when Christ was born. He was born on January 7th. And we know Jesus was born in spring. So it's two different people. So as you can clearly see, Rome did it to continue their pagan lifestyle.
This is David, who says, we have friends who do not celebrate Christmas because they say December 25th is really a pagan holiday. While I agree that Jesus may not have been born on December 25th, he certainly was born as described in the Bible. How do I respond to them?
Well, in a sense, tell them they're right. You see, the winter solstice a couple of days later was the shortest day of the year, and the pagans had something called Saturnalia. And it was a time of lawlessness because all the laws were suspended. And people, a bunch of singers were actually wandered the streets naked singing. And then they had orgies, sexual orgies. It was a mess.
In other words, December 25th is not Christmas, but there is a Christmas. So let's watch where it started. It started in ancient Egypt. Then it went to Greece. Then it went to Rome. So it's from Egypt to Greece to Rome. All pagan, all made up. So let's watch.
I couldn't believe it. Queen Elizabeth II, the only monarch in the world who never bowed to anyone. I mean, she was the one and only, a great leader of the Commonwealth. Whenever another king or...
She was the 87th generation of Cleopatra. That's what made her royal. She came from ancient Egypt, because that's where her family royal line started from.
Important figure visited, they would bow or make a gesture of respect to the Queen, but she had no one above her. Well, that's not entirely true. I saw some footage once.
Don't forget, Ethiopia predates Egypt by over 1,500 years. So Ethiopia starts before her family line. Remember, her family line goes back to ancient Egypt with Cleopatra and other pharaohs. But Ethiopia itself predates them, therefore the Ethiopian monarchy predates Egypt itself.
Once, back when I was still working at the agency, footage of her bowing to just one person in the entire world. Only one person. And who was it? The King of Ethiopia. Do you know where Ethiopia is? You do, right? I mean, Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt. Actually, it's very close to where the Nile originates. Back in the day, thousands of years ago, that entire region was part of Egypt. Ethiopia, Sudan...
No, you're saying it wrong. That entire region was Ethiopia. Egypt to India used to be called Ethiopia. So you see, they literally switched the story. They have you thinking that Ethiopia was part of Egypt. No, Egypt was part of Ethiopia. That's why Egyptians were referred to as disobedient Ethiopians, and Egypt itself was referred to as the daughter or granddaughter of Ethiopia. Hence, Ethiopia comes first, then Egypt. Hence, they would say the entire region from Egypt to India used to be called Ethiopia. Watch more lies. Pay attention to this guy. Straight up liar.
Was taught in the temple, he said, how can the scribe say that Christ is the son of David? David himself, pay attention, speaking by the Holy Spirit. So who inspired David to know this? The Holy Spirit. David himself, speaking by the Holy Spirit, declared, the Lord, Jehovah, said to my Lord, so there are two here, the Lord speaking to someone else, that David acknowledges as his Lord. My Lord. The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your foot. David himself calls the Messiah, the Christ, Lord.
What a liar. What a retard. Other people have a Bible, you flipping fool. So let's watch what Jesus said. Jesus began to say as he taught in the temple, how is it that the scribes say that Christ is David's son? In other words, why are the scribes saying that I am Christ? Because I am David's son. By the Holy Spirit, David himself said, Jehovah said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies beneath your feet. David himself calls him Lord. But how does it come that he is his son? In other words, why are y'all saying that I, Jesus, the son of David, is Christ, when David already calls him Lord? When King David already told my dad David to sit at his right hand. So let's read it again slow, because this guy, he needs class. Jehovah our God is one Jehovah, and you must love Jehovah your God with your whole heart, and with your whole soul, and with your whole mind, and with your whole strength. The second is you must love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. The scribe said to him, Teacher, well said, in line with truth. He is one, and there is no other than he. In other words, Jesus is telling you there's only one God. And that one God already told David, my Lord, to sit at his right hand. In other words, I, Jesus, I am not Christ. I do not sit at the right hand because God already told David to sit at his right hand. Wow, this guy is literally lying, telling you that David called Christ the Lord. No.
How then is he a son? And the large crowd heard him gladly. So Jesus says, the Holy Spirit revealed to David that I, the Christ, happen to be his Lord. And he...
What the hell are you talking about? You flipping retarded. Let's read it again, because this guy's dumb as flip. Jesus began to say as he taught in the temple, how is it that the scribes say that Christ is David's son? In other words, why is the scribe saying that Jesus is Christ? Why are the scribes saying that? I am not Christ. By the Holy Spirit, David himself said, Jehovah said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies beneath your feet. David himself calls him Lord. How does it come that he is his son? In other words, why are you being dumb like this guy and saying that I am Christ, and now you're acting like I am God? Stop changing the stories. Just like this guy, weirdo.
Manuscripts that go back to the 2nd century, a copy of the Gospel of John. It's called P66. If you look at P66 and you translate through it, what it says is something that sounds probably pretty familiar. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word...
Pay attention. The Ethiopian Bible, which is translated out of original tongues, which was written in Ge'ez, because Ethiopia has the oldest, most complete Bible on earth. Look what he
We have
does.
discovered manuscripts that go back to the 2nd century.
You get what he did? The Ethiopian original tongues, they say, was complete in the 3rd century. So according to him, he found some Greek literature from the 2nd century. In other words, they're lying. So they have discovered. Let's rewind again. You discovered what from who? If Ethiopia has the oldest version of the Bible, why are you telling me about Greece and what you found in Greece? What does that have to do with anything?
We have discovered manuscripts that go back to the 2nd century, a copy of the Gospel of John. It's called P66. If you look at P66 and you translate through it, what it says is something that sounds probably pretty familiar. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Christians in the late 2nd century, early 3rd century were reading exactly what you are reading, basically. And specifically for the Gospel of John at the beginning of P66, there aren't even any spelling differences or differences in the notation.
He likes to refer to ancient Hebrew and Greece. No, go to Ethiopia and get the source.
Mother?
Oh yeah. King James I, the man behind the King James Bible, had his mother Mary,
King James was black, so don't get tricked with the picture.
Queen of Scots, locked up and then executed, allegedly. He worked with his aunt, Queen Elizabeth I, to make it happen. Why? So he could secure his place as King of England. That's not exactly the kind of story you'd expect from someone tied to the Bible, is it? But it doesn't stop there. James had a thing for demonology. He wasn't just curious about it, he wrote an entire book, Demonology, all about witches, demons, and their nasty tricks. And this is the same guy who decided, hey, I should translate the Bible for everyone. And then there's his personal life. Rumors say he had questionable relationships with men, including his cousin, and he wasn't exactly known for being morally upright. Yet this is the man people trust for one of the most influential versions of the Bible. Do you see the problem here? Now,
follow God, not man. Don't follow no body boy telling you about the Bible. That's like them telling you about pagans as if they're the ones who wrote the Bible. No, they just translated it and made up their own version. Put in the wrong places, wrong people at the wrong time. So let's watch. Follow God, not man.
Who was born on that day. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to me and to us is a man named Nimrod. Nimrod was one of the most wicked men who ever lived. Nimrod is the man that broke the civilization of Moses. 17 centuries after Moses and 3 centuries before Jesus was born into the world, Nimrod destroyed the law of Moses. That's what they mean when they say he broke the civilization of Moses. He made the law of Moses of non-effect. And when you